In the busy streets of Busan, people often rush past performers without a second glance, never realizing that one of them might be living a story more thrilling than the tricks they perform. But one man, known across the district as a quiet, mysterious street magician, held a secret bigger than any illusion. His name was Jong-suk, a man with hands quick enough to deceive and a heart steady enough to protect. And this is the unbelievable, yet deeply human story of how he became the only shield between a billionaire's daughter and her own powerful family. By day, Jong-suk blended into the crowds at Gwangali Beach, performing simple sleight-of-hand routines for tourists. By night, he roamed the neon-lit streets of Haeundae, making coins vanish, cards appear behind strangers' ears, and loneliness disappeared temporarily from wandering souls. People adored him, but no one knew the truth. Jong-suk wasn't just working for applause. He was escaping a dark past filled with loss, unpaid debts, and a childhood stolen by circumstance. Magic wasn't entertainment for him, it was survival. And one summer night, survival brought him face to face with someone who needed him more than he knew. She appeared in the crowd like a misplaced star, Han Hyo-joo, though no one recognized her. The public knew her as the elegant heiress of the Hyojin Group, a real estate empire that stretched across Asia. But on this night, she wore a baseball cap, oversized hoodie, and sunglasses big enough to hide behind. She wasn't out exploring. She was hiding. She had run away from her heavily guarded family estate in Gijang after learning she would be forced into a marriage that served corporate interest, not her heart. Han Hyo-joo had been missing for 2 days. Her disappearance was kept quiet to avoid scandal and protect the empire's image. Behind closed doors, private security teams were deployed across Busan to track her down. Her father, Hyojin Group Chairman Jang Hyuk, was a man who saw emotions as weaknesses and children as legacy pieces. For him, Hyo-joo's marriage was nothing more than a strategic merger. And the moment she slipped into Jong-suk's crowd, she unknowingly stepped into a lifeline she desperately needed. Jong-suk noticed her instantly, not because of beauty or fame, but because of fear. A magician reads faces before cards, and her expression was a mixture of exhaustion and panic. When he randomly chose her as a volunteer, she flinched like someone expecting danger. Jong-suk softened his voice, reassuring her with a calm confidence. He handed her a card, asked her to sign it, and performed a trick so gentle it almost made her smile. But their small connection was cut short when 2 tall men in dark suits started scanning the crowd with predatory focus. Jong-suk recognized their type instantly, professional trackers, not police. He'd seen men like them chase debtors, abduct runaways, and intimidate employees into compliance. When their eyes locked on Han Hyo-joo, she tightened her grip on the card as if it were a lifeline. Jong-suk knew she was in danger before she even whispered, "Please, help me." Without hesitation, he exploded a handful of flash powder at his feet, blinding the crowd. Gasps echoed. When the light faded, Jong-suk and Hyo-joo were gone, an illusion perfect enough to be real. He pulled her down a narrow alley behind a row of street food stalls. "Who are they?" he asked, helping her catch her breath. "My family's men," she whispered. "They want to take me back." Jong-suk didn't ask why. He already suspected the answer. Instead, he led her through a maze of alleys only he knew, eventually ducking into a small workshop owned by an elderly friend who owed him a favor. There, behind a locked metal door, Hyo-joo finally exhaled. But safety, she soon realized, was only temporary. Once the adrenaline settled, Jong-suk looked her in the eyes. "You need to tell me the truth if I'm going to help you." Hyo-joo hesitated, then revealed everything, the forced marriage, the pressure, the loneliness disguised as luxury. "I don't want my life decided like a business contract," she said. "I'd rather disappear." Her voice cracked, not from weakness, but from years of silent endurance. And for reasons he couldn't explain yet, Jong-suk felt compelled to help her. Maybe because he had once been trapped too, just in a different kind of cage. The following morning, Jong-suk created a plan. They couldn't stay in one place. Busan was wide but not endless, and Hyo-joo's family had the resources to sweep every street if necessary. So they moved through the city's overlooked corners, abandoned shipyards, quiet fishing docks, and the old markets of Jigalki, where anonymity was easier to borrow. Hyo-joo was amazed by how invisible Jong-suk could be, How do you know all these places? She asked. Jong-suk gave a small, sad smile. Surviving teaches you shortcuts. During their hiding, Hyo-joo revealed painful details about her life. She had grown up in a mansion but lived like a prisoner. Bodyguards watched her every move. Friends were chosen by her father. Even her hobbies were curated to match the image expected of an heiress. She was admired by millions, yet understood by none. Jong-suk listened quietly. Listening was something he'd mastered long before magic. And slowly, Hyo-joo realized that this street magician, this stranger, was the first person to see her as a human being, not a bargaining piece. But Hyo-joo wasn't weak. Under the layers of control, she possessed sharp instincts and surprising courage. She asked Jong-suk to teach her basic escape tricks: misdirection, observation, hand signals for danger. He found himself impressed by how quickly she learned. Maybe you were a magician in a past life, he teased. She laughed for the first time in days. Or maybe I just needed someone to teach me how to take control. For Jong-suk, whose life had been a series of escapes, her resilience was refreshing. However, the net was tightening. By the third day, trackers had spread across Busan, checking terminals, surveillance cameras, even interviewing vendors along the coast. When Jong-suk heard one of the investigators describing Hyo-joo's disguise at a market stall, he knew they had to change direction. Running endlessly wasn't a solution. They'll find you eventually, he told her gently. We need something stronger than escape. Hyo-joo nodded, fear blending with determination. Then let's expose them. Jong-suk suggested something reckless, but necessary. They had to gather proof of the arranged marriage deal and the illegal financial moves tied to it. The only place such evidence existed was inside the Hyojin group's private estate. Are you sure? He asked. Hyo-joo swallowed hard. All my life, I've been told what I can't do. This time I decide. Jong-suk nodded, admiring her strength. Then let's pull off the biggest illusion Busan has ever seen. Using thrift store clothes, wigs, and makeup techniques he'd learned in street performances, Jong-suk transformed them into unrecognizable personas. Hyo-joo looked at herself in the mirror. She barely recognized the confident woman staring back. Together, they infiltrated the edge of the estate during a corporate gala where security was focused outward, not inward. The plan was relying on timing, luck, and misdirection. Stay close, Jong-suk whispered. And remember, people only see what they expect to see. Navigating the mansion felt like walking through memories Hyo-joo wanted to forget. Every hallway reflected the rigidity of her upbringing, cold, sterile, elegant in a suffocating way. Jong-suk observed everything with a magician's precision. Where's your father's private office? He asked. She led him to a reinforced door guarded by biometric locks. Jong-suk cracked his knuckles. Time for a little magic. Using a combination of pressure tools, sound timing, and sleight of hand, he bypassed the system in under 90 seconds. Hyo-joo stared in disbelief. How? He grinned. Trade secret. Inside the vault were documents, contracts, and digital records detailing the arranged marriage as a financial bailout for the company's covert losses. Offshore accounts, illegal partnerships, treating Hyo-joo like a gainful asset. She felt her chest tighten. Seeing the truth written on paper was worse than hearing it whispered. She whispered, I wasn't a daughter, just a transaction. Jong-suk placed a hand on her back. Not anymore. They copied everything onto an encrypted drive. But before they could leave, an alarm rang. Security swarmed the mansion. Jong-suk grabbed her hand and pulled her through servants' corridors, using shadows and silence as their allies. At one point, they hid behind a decorative wall while 2 guards spoke inches away. Hyo-joo's breath shook. Jong-suk leaned close, whispering, Trust me. For a second, the world shrank to just the 2 of them, his calm, her fear, and the fragile courage connecting them. When the guards moved, they slipped through the west hallway toward a maintenance exit. But fate had one more twist waiting. At the final doorway stood her father, Jang Hyuk, the powerful chairman whose reputation intimidated even government officials. Hyo-joo froze. Jong-suk stepped slightly forward, ready to shield her. The chairman looked at her, not with worry but with annoyance. Come home, he ordered. This rebellion ends tonight. Hyo-joo raised her chin, showing the evidence drive. No. It begins tonight. His jaw tightened. You don't understand what you're doing. She held her ground. For the first time in my life, I do. Security teams approached, but Hyo-joo spoke first. If you force me back, this evidence goes straight to the authorities and the media. Jang Hyuk paused, not out of fear for her safety, but fear for his empire. You would ruin your family, he asked coldly. You ruined it the moment you sold me, she replied. For the first time, the chairman realized she wasn't the obedient daughter he'd sculpted. She was stronger than he expected. He stepped aside, not out of respect, but calculation. It was the only option he had left. Jong-suk led her out as fireworks from the gala exploded overhead. They blended into the night like two ghosts slipping between realities. Once away from danger, Hyo-joo finally let out the breath she'd been holding. We did it, she said. Jong-suk looked at her with quiet pride. You did it. I just provided the distraction. For the first time in years, Hyo-joo felt free, not because she ran away, but because she stood up. Within days, carefully leaked documents began circulating anonymously online. Journalists researched quietly. Investors panicked quietly. The Hyojin group tried to deny everything, but the digital footprint spoke louder than press releases. Behind the scenes, Jang Hyuk's political alliances began to waver. He couldn't touch Hyo-joo now, not without risking total collapse. She had escaped her father's control not by running, but by confronting him. And that victory was more powerful than any magic trick. Hyo-joo started rebuilding her life from the ground up. She rented a small studio apartment in Busan, a place with peeling wallpaper and cheap furniture, but for the first time, every choice belonged to her. Jong-suk helped her move in, joking about how she finally had a home without gold-plated vases. She laughed. I prefer this. She found comfort and simplicity in breathing freely, in walking streets where no one bowed to her title. Freedom, she discovered, didn't need marble floors. Jong-suk continued performing at Gwangali Beach, but something in him had changed. His shows had warmth now, sincerity, hope. People felt it. His crowds grew larger every night. He wasn't performing for survival anymore. He was performing for connection. And each time he looked at the audience, he saw the moment he met Hyo-joo, the scared woman who dared to ask for help, and he felt grateful for how far they both had come. Hyo-joo visited shelters and youth centers, helping teens facing family pressures, toxic expectations, or situations similar to hers. She didn't use her former status, she used her experience. Jong-suk admired her for it. You could have run away from everything, he told her one evening. But you chose to help others. She shrugged gently. Someone helped me when he didn't have to. He smiled, not needing to ask whom she meant. Their relationship wasn't defined by romance, not yet, but by understanding. Shared wounds, shared victories. They met often, sometimes to talk, sometimes to sit in silence by the beach. What do you want now? Jong-suk asked her one night. She thought for a long moment. A life I choose, even if it's small. Jong-suk nodded. Small lives can still be magical. She smiled softly, especially with the right magician around. Weeks passed. One evening, during a crowded performance at Gwangali Beach, Jong-suk asked for a volunteer. To his surprise, Hyo-joo stepped forward. The crowd cheered, not recognizing her but sensing the warmth between them. Pick a card, he said playfully. She did. He made it vanish, but instead of making it reappear in her pocket like before, he revealed a new card that simply read, You're free now. Hyo-joo's eyes softened. It wasn't a trick. It was a message. Applause erupted as she bowed dramatically. But when she straightened, she whispered, Thank you, Jong-suk, for everything. He replied quietly, You saved yourself. I just showed you the exit. Their eyes met, holding a silent conversation of shared gratitude and unspoken affection. It wasn't the dramatic declaration of a K-drama. It was something softer, truer, two people choosing to walk forward without chains. In Busan, whispers spread about a mysterious magician and the heiress he protected. Some said the story was exaggerated, others said it was a myth. But those who knew the harsh realities of power, wealth, and survival believed it all. Because sometimes, the bravest acts happen without witnesses. And sometimes, the people least expected to be heroes become the ones who change lives, quietly. Jong-suk still performs today, his shows attracting tourists and locals alike. But every now and then, someone will notice a beautiful woman standing in the crowd, Han Hyo-joo, living not as an heiress, but as a woman finally free. She watches him perform with a smile that carries gratitude, strength, and maybe something deeper. And when their eyes meet, everything they endured is reflected silently between them. The story of how a Busan street magician saved a billionaire's daughter from her own family became a legend, not because it was dramatic, but because it was human. It proved that courage isn't born from power or wealth, but from the decision to fight for one's freedom. Jong-suk didn't use superpowers. Han Hyo-joo didn't need permission. Together, they rewrote the ending of a life someone else tried to control. And in the quiet corners of Busan, where illusions meet reality, their story lives on as a reminder that even the most ordinary people can spark extraordinary change. Thanks for watching.